All right, let's take a look at the practice test. For the instructions, we're asked to find the equation of the parabola. All right, let's take a look at the first problem. So the idea is that you're given a model. So you're going to either get y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, which would be a vertical parabola, or you're going to get x equals ay squared plus by plus c. So that's a sideways parabola, and we'll see some of those later on. So once you have your model, you're also going to be given 3 points. So with those 3 points, you're just going to plug into the model and you're going to generate 3 equations. So you have 3 equations and 3 unknowns. So the unknowns will be the a, the b, and the c. And through solving the system of equations that you generate, you're going to end up being able to fill in this model. So you have y equals some value for a times x squared plus some value for b times x, then plus some value for c. So we're trying to find a, b, and c here. So let's go ahead and just plug in. I think this is fairly straightforward. So this in your ordered pair, this -5, that's your x value. So in the model, you're plugging that in right here and then right here. So when we set this up, we have this -5 that's being squared. Make sure to wrap that in parentheses. And then we have this -5 right here. And then when we think about the y value that we're given, that's a -7. So in the model, that's going to go right there. So that's going to be right here. So if we go through and just simplify what we did, we're going to have -7 is equal to 25a minus 5b plus c. So this is the first equation of this system. So now we're given a point that is -1, 25. So the y value here is 25. So that's going to go right here. Again, just matching it up with the model. And then the x value here is -1. So again, matching that up with this model, it's going right there and right there. So that corresponds to this right here and then this right here. So if you simplify, you're going to get 25 equals a minus b plus c. So this is the second equation of the system. And then for the third equation, we generate it with this point right here. So this -2, again, that's going to go for x. So right there and right there. So that corresponds to right here and right here. Then your y value is 11. So that's going to go right there. So that corresponds to being right there. So when you simplify this, you get 11 equals 4a minus 2b plus c. So this is the third equation of the system. So I just wrote here our system of equations. So equation number 1, again, this is just labeled for reference. 25a minus 5b plus c equals -7. Equation number 2, we have a minus b plus c is equal to 25. And then equation number 3, we're going to say 4a minus 2b plus c is equal to 11. So we know how to solve a linear system in 3 variables. Essentially, you're going to pick one of the variables to eliminate. In this case, I'm going to just pick c to eliminate. And so to do that, you see here I have eliminate c. I'm going to multiply equation number 2 by -1, and I'm going to use that to add equations 1 and 2, and then equations 2 and 3, and then c will be eliminated. We'll be dealing with a linear system with just a and b. So we go through this process, and again, I have the steps listed right here for you. You're going to end up with a modified equation 2, which is -a plus b minus c is equal to -25. And then we're going to use that to add equations number 1 and number 2. So we're just going to go through and say 25a minus a, that's 24a, and then -5b plus b, that's going to be -4b. Notice that you have plus c and then minus c. So those are going to cancel. And then we have our equals here. On the right side of that, we have -7 plus -25. That's going to be -32. So we get this as equation 4. Now, what I would do is make this as simple as possible. You don't have to, but I would divide everything here by 4 just to clean this up a little bit. So let me put actually a little border right here. And let me move this over here. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. Let me put equation 4 here. So this would be 6a. And then minus 4 over 4 is 1. So this would just be b. And this equals -32 over 4. That's going to be -8. So you could write that down for your notes. That's going to be our equation 4. And now we need to generate equation 5. So to do that, we're going to add equations number 2 and number 3. So we have -a plus 4a. That's going to give me 3a. We have b minus 2b. That's going to be -b. And then again, we have this minus c and plus c. So c is going to be eliminated. Then we have our equals. On the right side of that, we have -25 plus 11. That is -14. So this right here would be your equation 5. All right, so now we have our equations 4 and 5. This is really easy to deal with. You want to eliminate b. That would be the easiest thing to do. If you wanted to eliminate a, that's fine as well. But what I'm going to do is just multiply equation 4 by -1. And so this would be -6a, and then plus b is equal to 8. Again, I just multiplied this by -1, this by -1, and this by -1. So all I'm doing is just changing the sign of everything. And then I'm just going to write this on the bottom of that. So 3a minus b is equal to -14. And let's just go through here and add. So -6a plus 3a, that's going to give me -3a. Then we have plus b and minus b, so that's going to go away. And this would be equal to 8 minus 14. That's going to be -6. So now we're going to divide both sides of the equation by negative 3. So this right here is going to give me a is equal to negative 6 over negative 3, that is 2. So a is equal to 2. Once you have that, you can plug in for a in either equation 4 or 5, and you could figure out what b is. So I have here plug in for a in equation number 5. So again, a equals 2, we just figured that out. So equation number 5 was 3a minus b equals negative 14. So you'll have it right there. So 3 times 2 would be 6. So this would be 6 minus b is equal to negative 14. And now we would just subtract 6 away from each side of the equation. Let's say this would cancel. We would have negative, let me write negative 1 times b is equal to negative 14 minus 6, that's negative 20. And of course, we're just going to either multiply both sides by negative 1 or divide both sides by negative 1. That's why I wrote the negative 1 there, just to make that clear. And so this would cancel with this, and we're left with b is equal to negative 20 over negative 1 is 20. So at this point, we know that a is 2 and b is 20. So how do we get c? Well, again, you take one of the equations from your system, so either equation number 1, equation number 2, or equation number 3, and you plug in for a and b, and then you just solve for c. So we plug in here. Again, this 2 right here is going right here, so that's right there. And then this 20 right here is going right here, so that's going right there. So we have 2 minus 20. We could just do that. That's negative 18. And then plus c is equal to 25. I'm going to add 18 to both sides of the equation. This cancels. So you can have that c is equal to 25 plus 18 is 43. So let me put a comma up here and put c is equal to 43. And essentially you have your a, your b, and your c. So again, just go back to your model. That was y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We're just going to fill in what we know. We know that a is 2. We know that b is 20. And we know that c is 43. And so that right there is your equation for the parabola. So y equals 2x squared plus 20x plus 43. You could use Desmos to check this, and I left you a link for all of these. I don't know how well you can see this, but essentially you could just click the link. So this is y equals 2x squared plus 20x plus 43. And again, those 3 points that were given are going to be there. So you have your negative 5 comma negative 7, you have your negative 2 comma 11, and then your negative 1 comma 25. Alternatively, you can always check this using the traditional method. Again, you could just plug in for a, b, and c in each equation of the system and make sure that you get a true statement. In equation 1, when we do this, we get negative 7 equals negative 7. In equation 2, when we do this, we get 25 equals 25. And then finally, in equation 3, when we do this, we get 11 equals 11. All right, let's take a look at the second problem now. So in this case, our point is 1 comma 1. So you're plugging in a 1 for each x, so there and there. And let me just highlight that here, here, and here just for clarity. And then you're plugging in a 1 for the y. So that's going to be right there. And again, that's right there. So when we simplify, we get 1 is equal to a plus b plus c. Then the second point, we're going to have 2 comma negative 4. So this negative 4 right here, that's going to be for your y. That's going to go right there. And then your 2, that's your x value. That's going to go right here and then right here. So again, that's going to be right here and right here. So when we simplify this, we get negative 4 is equal to 4a plus 2b plus c. And then lastly, we have our point, which is 7 comma 1. So this 7 right here is the x value. So that's going right here and right here. So that's going to correspond to being right here and then right here. Then for the y value, you have 1. So that's going to go right here in the model. So it's going to correspond to being right there. So we end up with 1 equals 49a plus 7b plus c. All right, so we have our system of equations. So again, you can number these however you want. It's just for reference. So equation number 1, let's say that's a plus b plus c is equal to 1. Equation number 2, that's 4a plus 2b plus c is equal to negative 4. And then equation number 3, that's 49a plus 7b plus c is equal to 1. Okay, so once again, we're going to use the strategy where we eliminate c by multiplying equation number 2 by negative 1. So for equation number 2, again, if you multiply both sides by negative 1, you end up with this modified form. So we're going to say equation 2 is now going to be negative 4a minus 2b minus c is equal to 4. And then we're going to add equations number 1 and number 2, and we'll also add equations number 2 and number 3. This is going to get rid of c from our system. So here, a plus negative 4a is going to be negative 3a. b minus 2b is going to be negative b. Then we have our plus c and minus c. I'll cancel it like that. And then on the other side of the equals, we have 1 plus 4. That's going to be 5. So we end up with negative 3a minus b is equal to 5. Let's call this equation number 4. So now we're going to add equations number 2 and 3. And so negative 4a plus 49a, that's going to be 45a. We have negative 2b plus 7b, that's going to be 5b. And then we have our negative c plus c, again, this is going to cancel. On the other side of the equal sign, we have 4 plus 1, which is 5. Now again, I would simplify this. Let me drag this up here. Let me put a little border. Let's say that if we divide everything here by 5, just so we're working with smaller numbers, 45 over 5 is 9. We write this as equation 5, so this would be 9a plus 5 over 5 is 1, so this is a b here, and this equals 5 over 5 is 1. So equation 5, that would be 9a plus b equals 1. So just looking at what we have with 4 and 5, we don't need to do anything. We could just add these as they sit. Maybe I'll just rewrite it. So negative 3a minus b is equal to 5. Let me put a plus 9a there, plus b is equal to 1. And let me slide down a little bit. So we know that this is going to cancel. Negative 3a plus 9a, that is going to be 6a. And this equals 5 plus 1 is going to be 6. And let me fix that and make it a little bit better there. We're going to divide both sides of the equation by 6. So this would cancel with this, and you're left with a is equal to 6 over 6 is 1. So we get a is equal to 1. So once again, you're going to plug in for a in either equation number 4 or 5, whichever you want. It does not matter. So we know that a is equal to 1. We just figured that out. So this is equation number 4. So we're just going to be plugging in right there. So we want to plug in a 1. So negative 3 times 1 is just negative 3. So this becomes negative 3 minus b is equal to 5. Let's add 3 to both sides of the equation. This cancels. You get negative b. I'm just going to write negative 1b for clarity, is equal to 5 plus 3 is 8. And again, we want b by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. Or if you want to multiply both sides by negative 1, it does the same thing. So this cancels with this, and we get b is equal to 8 over negative 1 is negative 8. So b is equal to negative 8. All right, so now that we know that a equals 1 and b equals negative 8, again, you could just pick any of the original equations and plug in. So I'm going to just choose equation number 1. So I have a 1 right there for a, so that's going to go right there. And I have a negative 8 for b, so that's going to go right there. All right, so 1 plus negative 8, we know that's negative 7. So let's write this as c minus 7 is equal to 1. And we'll just add 7 to both sides of the equation. So this will just give us that c is equal to, let me show this as canceling. 1 plus 7 is going to be 8. So let me put a comma here and put that c is equal to 8. So let me erase all of this, and we can just write out our answer. So again, we have the model y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So for a, we want that to be 1. Let me just write it below instead of erasing it and dealing with it that way. So y is equal to, again, this is a 1, so you can just leave it off. So this is just x squared. Let me fix this. And then plus, your b is negative 8. Let me just write minus 8. So minus 8x. And then your c is 8, so let's put plus 8. So that's the equation for your parabola. So y equals x squared minus 8x plus 8. Again, if you want to check this out on Desmos, here's your parabola. Again, y equals x squared minus 8x plus 8. And then here's your point 1, comma 1, your point 2, comma negative 4, and then your point 7, comma 1. Again, if you want to check this the other way, you could just plug in for a, b, and c in each equation of the system. So if we do this for the first equation, you're going to get 1 equals 1. For the second equation, you get negative 4 equals negative 4. And then for the third equation, you get 1 equals 1. All right, let's take a look at problem number 3. So once again, we have the model y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So the first point we're given is negative 2, comma negative 13. So this negative 2 is getting plugged in for x right there and right there. So that's going to be right here and right here. Then we have our negative 13, that's going to be the y. So that's going to get plugged in right there, which is going to be right here. So when we simplify, we get negative 13 is equal to 4a minus 2b plus c. So now for the next point, we have 0, comma negative 25. So 0 is your x value. When you get this situation, it actually makes the problem a lot easier. So when you plug that in, it's going to go right there and right there. So right here and right here. And then for your y value, you're going to have a negative 25. So that goes right there. And then of course, it's going to be right there. So we know that 0 times anything is going to be 0. So 0 squared is 0. And then 0 times a, whatever that is, would be 0. So this is gone. Same thing here. 0 times b is 0. So that's gone. So you're just left with negative 25 is equal to c. Again, that's going to make the problem a lot easier. Okay, third point, we have negative 4, comma negative 9. So this right here is your x value. So that's going right here and right here. That's going to be right here and right here. And then negative 9 is the y value. So that's going to go right there and then right there. So you simplify this, you get negative 9 is equal to 16a minus 4b plus c. All right, so we have our 3 equations of the system. So we have equation number 1 is 4a minus 2b plus c equals negative 13. Equation number 2 is just c equals negative 25. And then equation number 3 is 16a minus 4b plus c is equal to negative 9. So the strategy here is different from the previous problems because we have this equation 2 where c is equal to negative 25. Since I know the value for c, I can just plug in for it. So in other words, in equation number 1, you see that you have this c right here. Well, I know c is negative 25, so I'm just going to plug in right there. And so I can say that for equation number 1, it's 4a minus 2b is equal to, well, if I add 25 to both sides of the equation right here, well, this would cancel. And negative 13 plus 25, that is going to be 12. Now, again, what I would do here is I would divide everything by 2. Just to make this a little bit simpler, let me slide down a little bit. So 4 over 2 is 2. So this would be 2a. And then minus 2 over 2 is 1. So this is just b. And this equals 12 over 2 is 6. So this would be my modified equation number 1. It would be 2a minus b is equal to 6. Now I'm going to do the same thing with equation number 3. So again, I know that c is equal to negative 25. So I could just plug in for c right there. So let me just add 25 to both sides of the equation. This cancels. Let me say equation 3 is 16a minus 4b is equal to negative 9 plus 25. That's going to be 16. So let's simplify by dividing everything here by 4, just to work with some smaller numbers here. So let me say this modified equation 3 would be 16 over 4 is 4. So this is 4a, and then minus 4 over 4 is 1. So this is b. And this equals 16 over 4 is 4. So now what we have is equation number 1, 2a minus b equals 6. In equation number 3, 4a minus b equals 4. Keep in mind that we already know that c equals negative 25, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. What I would do is just multiply, let's say equation number 1 by negative 1. So that would be negative 2a plus b is equal to negative 6. So just change the sign of everything. And then let's write equation number 3 below. So 4a minus b is equal to 4. And let's add these guys. So negative 2a plus 4a, that's going to give me 2a. b minus b, that's going to cancel. So this equals negative 6 plus 4, that's going to be negative 2. And let me just drag this over here. If you have 2a is equal to negative 2, well, you can divide both sides of the equation by 2. This cancels. And you get a is equal to negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. So this right here is your a value. And again, if you're trying to figure out what b is, that means this negative 1 gets plugged in right there for a. So it's going to be right there. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And then minus b is equal to 6. Let me fix that. And let's add 2 to both sides of the equation. This cancels. We would say that negative b is equal to 6 plus 2 is 8. And again, you could put negative 1b if you want. Divide both sides by negative 1. And this would cancel. And you're going to end up with b is equal to 8 over negative 1 is negative 8. So we know that a is negative 1, b is negative 8, and c is negative 25. So let me write this out. A is equal to negative 1, b is equal to negative 8, and c is equal to negative 25. Again, we have our model, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So y is equal to, a is negative 1, so let's just put negative and then x squared. B is negative 8, so let's put minus 8x. And then c is negative 25, so then minus 25. So that's going to be your equation for the parabola. Again, if you want to use that link on Desmos to verify this, this is going to be your y equals negative x squared minus 8x minus 25. Here's your point negative 4 comma negative 9. Here's your point negative 2 comma negative 13. And then here's your point 0 comma negative 25. Once again, if you want to verify this by plugging in, for the first equation, you get negative 13 equals negative 13. For the second equation, again, we already know that c is equal to negative 25, but just for completeness, if you plug in, you get negative 25 equals negative 25. And then for the third equation, again, if you plug in, you get negative 9 equals negative 9. All right, for problem number 4, we are once again given our y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Our first point is 6 comma 43. So the 6 is the x value. So that's going to go again right here and right here. And then the 43 is the y value. That's going right here and right here. When you simplify, you get 43 equals 36a plus 6b plus c. For the second point, we have 2 comma negative 5. So again, the 2 is the x value. That's going right there and right there. And then you have your negative 5 for the y value. So that's going right there and then right there. So when you simplify, you're going to get negative 5 is equal to 4a plus 2b plus c. So the third point you're given is 1 comma negative 2. Again, this is the x value, so that's going right here and right here. So that corresponds to being right there and right there. Then for the y value, that's negative 2. That's going right there and then right there. So this gives us negative 2 is equal to a plus b plus c. All right, so our system of equations equations. For equation number 1, we have 36a plus 6b plus c is equal to 43. For equation number 2, we have 4a plus 2b plus c is equal to -5. And then for equation number 3, we have a plus b plus c is equal to -2. All right, so we're going to go back to the strategy of eliminating c. And to do that, we're going to multiply equation number 2 by -1. So when we go through, we're going to have a modified equation number 2 that is -4a minus 2b minus c is equal to 5. And then we're going to add equations number 1 and number 2. Again, this is going to eliminate c. So 36a minus 4a, that's going to be 32a. 6b minus 2b, that's going to be 4b. And then you have your plus c and then minus c, so that's going to cancel. And then over here, on the right side of the equals, we have 43 plus 5, that's 48. Again, you could work with this like this if you want, but I prefer to work with smaller numbers. So I think you should just divide everything here by 4. Just to make it a little bit easier. Again, you don't have to. So 32 over 4 is 8. So let's say this is 8a plus 4 over 4 is 1. So this is b is equal to 48 over 4 is 12. So this would be your equation 4. Then to get equation 5, we're going to add equations number 2 and number 3. So -4a plus a, that's going to be -3a. -2b plus b, that's going to be -b. You have your minus c and plus c. Again, that's going to go away. And then on the right side of the equal sign, you have 5 minus 2, that's going to be 3. So this one's as simple as you can make it. So let's say this is our equation 5. All right, now that we have our equations 4 and 5, again, we can solve for either a or b. Obviously, it's set up to where we can solve for a. So let's just add these guys together. Let me just rewrite this down here. So 8a plus b is equal to 12. And then we have -3a minus b is equal to 3. Let me fix that. Slide down a little bit. And we'll say 8a minus 3a, that's going to be 5a. You have plus b and minus b, so that's going to go away. And this equals 12 plus 3 is going to be 15. And of course, you can just divide both sides here by 5, and this would cancel. And you have a is equal to 15 over 5, that's going to be 3. So a is equal to 3. Again, you're going to plug in for a in either equation number 4 or number 5. Does not matter. We're just going to pick number 5. So here, your a is 3, so that's going to get plugged in right here for a, so that's going to be right there. So -3 times 3 is -9. Then we have minus b is equal to 3. Let's add 9 to both sides of the equation. This cancels. You're going to have -b, let's just write -1b, is equal to 3 plus 9, that's going to be 12. So we're going to divide both sides of the equation by -1, so that cancels. And we're going to have b is equal to, let me fix this, 12 over -1 is -12. So our a value is 3, and our b value is -12. So now we need to figure out what is c. And again, to do this, we use either equation number 1, number 2, or number 3. It does not matter. So we're going to plug in for a. We know that's 3, so that's going right there and then right there. And then we're going to plug in for b. So we know that's -12. That's going to be right here, so that's right there. So 3 plus -12 is -9. So this would be c minus 9 is equal to -2. And we just add 9 to both sides of the equation. This cancels, and you get c is equal to -2 plus 9, that's going to be 7. Let me just put this up here. So c is equal to 7. Let me get rid of all of this highlighting here, and we'll get rid of that. And we'll just write our answer. Again, we have y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to plug in a 3 for a. So we get y equals 3x squared, a -12 for b, so minus 12x, and then a 7 for c, so plus 7. So y equals 3x squared minus 12x plus 7. Again, if you want to come to Desmos and check this out, again, you have your y equals 3x squared minus 12x plus 7. So this one, let me zoom in a little bit. You have your 1 comma -2 and your 2 comma -5. And then up here, you're going to have your 6 comma 43. Again, you can always check this by plugging in if you want. So with the first equation, you're going to get 43 equals 43. With the second equation, you're going to get -5 equals -5. And with the third equation, you're going to get -2 equals -2. All right, for problem number 5, we're once again given the model y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. The first point is -2 comma -25. So -2 is the x value. That's going right there and right there. That's going to correspond to being right there and right there. And then we have this -25 for the y value. So that's right there. So that's going to go right there. So this becomes -25 is equal to 4a minus 2b plus c. The next point we're given is -5 comma -7. So let me just do -7 first since I have that color. So -7 is the y value, so that's going right there, and that's going to be right there. And then let me switch over. So this is the x value, -5. So that's going right here and then right here. So when we plug in, it's going to go here and then here. So when we simplify, we get -7 is equal to 25a minus 5b plus c. And then for the third point, we have -7 comma -15. So this is the x value. So it's going to go right here and then right here. So that's going to be here, and then negative 15, that's going to be your y value. So it's going right here, and then it's going to end up right there. So when we simplify, we get negative 15 equals 49a minus 7b plus c. So this leads to our system of equations. So equation number 1 is 4a minus 2b plus c equals negative 25. Equation number 2 is 25a minus 5b plus c equals negative 7. And then equation number 3 is 49a minus 7b plus c is equal to negative 15. All right, so once again, we're going to eliminate c. And to do that, we're going to multiply equation number 2 by negative 1. And once we have that, we're going to add equations number 1 and number 2. And then we're going to add equations number 2 and number 3. So when we multiply equation number 2 by negative 1, again, we go through this process. This would be your modified equation number 2. So negative 25a plus 5b minus c is equal to 7. All right, so we're going to add equations number 1 and number 2. So 4a minus 25a, that's going to give me negative 21a. Negative 2b plus 5b, that's going to be 3b. Then your c minus c, that's going to cancel. Then on the other side of the equal sign, so on the right side, you have negative 25 plus 7. That's going to be negative 18. Again, just go ahead and simplify this so you're working with smaller numbers. I'm going to divide everything here by 3. Again, you don't have to do this. It just makes the problem easier to work with. So negative 21 over 3, that's going to be negative 7. Let me write equation 4 here. So that's negative 7a. And then 3 over 3 is 1. So plus b is equal to negative 18 over 3 is negative 6. All right, now we're going to add equations number 2 and number 3. So negative 25a plus 49a, that's going to be 24a. 5b minus 7b, that's going to be negative 2b. Then your minus c plus c, so that's going to cancel. On the right side of the equal sign, you have 7 minus 15. That's going to be negative 8. So this is another one that I can simplify. I'm going to divide everything here by 2. Again, just so I'm working with smaller numbers. So equation number 5, 24 over 2 is 12. So this is 12a. And then minus 2 over 2 is 1. So this is b. And this equals negative 8 over 2. That's negative 4. So looking at equation number 4 and number 5, again, you already have opposite coefficients on b. So let's just add these guys together. Let me write negative 7a plus b is equal to negative 6. And let me write plus 12a minus b is equal to negative 4. So let's go through. Negative 7a plus 12a, that's 5a. This cancels, and this equals negative 6 minus 4, that's negative 10. Let's divide both sides of the equation by 5. This cancels, and we end up with a is equal to negative 10 over 5 is negative 2. So we know at this point that a is equal to negative 2. And again, you can plug in for a in equation number 4 or number 5 so we can figure out what b is. So since a is negative 2, that's going to go right there. So it's going to be right here. So negative 7 times negative 2 is 14. So you're going to get b plus 14 is equal to negative 6. And let's subtract 14 away from each side of the equation. This cancels. And we end up with b is equal to, we have negative 6 minus 14. That's going to be negative 20. So we know that a is negative 2 and b is negative 20. So now we need to figure out what c is. So once again, you can use either equation 1, 2, or 3. So we're going to plug in for a. So that's negative 2. So that's going to go right here. And that's going to end up right there. And then b is equal to negative 20. That's going to go right here. So you can end up with this right here. All right, so let's go through and figure out what c is. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And then you have negative 2 times negative 20, that's 40. So let's put plus 40 here. And then we have plus c is equal to negative 25. So if we do negative 8 plus 40, that's going to be 32. So let's say that we have c plus 32 is equal to negative 25. Let's subtract 32 away from each side of the equation. This will cancel, and we'll get c is equal to negative 25 minus 32. That's going to be negative 57. So we know that a is negative 2, b is negative 20, and c is going to be negative 57. All right, so I'm going to come to another page. So I'm just going to grab that so it's nice and clean for us. So we have y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Again, plug in a negative 2 for a. So this would be y equals negative 2x squared. Plug in a negative 20 for b, so minus 20x. And then plug in a negative 57 for c, so then minus 57. So that's going to be the equation for the parabola. So once again, if you want to see this on Desmos, this will be your y equals negative 2x squared minus 20x minus 57. You have your point negative 7 comma negative 15, your point negative 5 comma negative 7, and then your point negative 2 comma negative 25. If you want to do this by plugging in, for the first equation, you get negative 25 equals negative 25. For the second equation, you get negative 7 equals negative 7. Then for the third equation, you get negative 15 equals negative 15. All right, let's take a look at problem 6. So once again, we have our y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And our first point that's given is going to be 1 comma negative 7. So the 1 is the x value that's going here. and then here. So then we're going to plug that in right there and then right there. Then we have our -7 for the y value. So it's going right here. And so right there's where we're going to plug that in. So we end up with -7 is equal to a plus b plus c. For the second point we're given, we have -2 comma -13. So -2 is your x value. That's going to go right there and right there. So then that'll be right here and right here. Then we have a -13 for the y value. So that's going to be right here. And that's going to go right there. So we end up with -13 is equal to 4a minus 2b plus c. Then our final point that's given is going to be 4 comma -37. So 4 is the x value. So that's going right here and then right here. So we're going to say that's going to be right there and right there. Then we're going to have -37 for the y value. So that's going to be right there. And that's going to get plugged in right there. So we end up with -37 is equal to 16a plus 4b plus c. All right, so now we have our system of equations. So equation number 1 is a plus b plus c equals -7. We have equation number 2, which is 4a minus 2b plus c is equal to -13. And then equation number 3, which is 16a plus 4b plus c is equal to -37. So once again, we're going to eliminate c. And to do that, we're going to multiply equation number 2 by -1. And then, of course, we can add equations number 1 and number 2, and then equations number 2 and number 3. So for equation number 2, when we multiply both sides by -1, we generate this modified form of equation 2. We get -4a plus 2b minus c is equal to 13. Then we can add equations number 1 and number 2. So if we do a plus -4a, that's going to be -3a. If we do b plus 2b, that's going to be 3b. And then, of course, if we do c minus c, that's going to cancel. And then on the right side of the equal sign, you have -7 plus 13, that's going to be 6. If you have the opportunity to simplify, I would do it. So I would divide everything here by 3. And so let's say equation 4 is going to be -3 over 3 is -1. So this is -a. And then 3 over 3 is 1. So this is plus b. And this equals 6 over 3 is 2. Now we're going to add equations number 2 and number 3. So -4a plus 16a, that's going to be 12a. 2b plus 4b, that's going to be 6b. And then you have -c plus c, that's going to cancel. On the right side of the equal sign, you have 13 plus -37, that's going to be -24. Again, I would simplify this. So divide everything here by 6. And that's going to give me, for equation number 5, 12 over 6 is 2. So this is 2a, and then plus 6 over 6 is 1. So this is b is equal to -24 over 6 is -4. All right, so we have our equations number 4 and number 5. I would modify equation number 4 here. Just multiply everything by -1. So this would be a minus b is equal to -2. Again, just change the sign of everything. And then for equation number 5, let's just write 2a. Let me put a plus there. And then plus b is equal to -4. And we're just going to add. So if we do a plus 2a, that's 3a. -b plus b, that's going to cancel. This equals -2 plus -4. That's -6. Divide both sides of the equation by 3. And you're going to end up with a is equal to -6 over 3. That's -2. Let me just show that as canceling. So we know that a is equal to -2. Now we're going to plug in for a in either, again, equation 4 or equation 5. Does not matter. So this is equation 4, and we have -a plus b equals 2. And if I plug in this -2 here, so it's going right there. You have to be very, very careful because a lot of students make mistakes when this situation occurs. You have a negative out in front of what you're plugging in. So that negative is going to end up right there. You're plugging in for a, and the a value is -2. So it's minus a -2 here. Be very, very careful. So minus a -2 is 2. So then plus b is equal to 2. And of course, this is going to lead to us having b being equal to 0. So to see that, let's just subtract 2 away from each side of the equation. This cancels. You get b is equal to 2 minus 2 is 0. So b equals 0 here. So again, we know that a equals -2 and b equals 0. So we're going to plug into either equation 1, 2, or 3, and we're going to figure out what c is. So plug in a -2 for a, and then plug in a 0 for b. And what you're going to be left with is c minus 2 is equal to -7. Let's add 2 to both sides of the equation. This cancels. And you get c is equal to -7 plus 2. That's going to be -5. And let me just put a comma, and I'll put c is equal to -5. So again, the model is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And let's say that the a value is -2. So y equals -2x squared. The b value is 0. So you could put plus 0x if you want. But again, 0 times anything is going to be 0. So you can just get rid of this. So then you just have your plus c value. So the c value is -5. So let's just write -5. 5. So this is what you want. So y equals negative 2x squared minus 5. Again, coming to Desmos, if you want to look at it here, again, your y equals negative 2x squared minus 5. Let me zoom in a little bit. So you have your points, negative 2 comma negative 13, so that's going to be right there. You have your 1 comma negative 7, that's right there. And then this right here is going to be your 4 comma negative 37. Again, checking this by plugging in, for the first equation, you're going to get negative 7 equals negative 7. For the second equation, you're going to get negative 13 equals negative 13. And for the third equation, you're going to get negative 37 equals negative 37. All right, let's look at problem number 7 now. So once again, we have our y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And the point we're given is negative 8 comma negative 8. So we have negative 8 for the x value. So again, that's going here and here. So when we plug in, it'll be right there and right there. So then we have negative 8 for the y value as well. So that's going to be for right there. And again, when we plug in, it's going to be right there. So simplifying, we get negative 8 is equal to 64a minus 8b plus c. All right, the second point we're given is negative 4 comma negative 120. So this right here, your negative 4, that's the x value. So of course, that's going right here and then right here. So let me do that right there and right there. For the y value, it's negative 120. It's going to go right there. And of course, it's going to end up right there. So we get negative 120 is equal to 16a minus 4b plus c. Then lastly, we have this point, which is negative 11 comma negative 71. So this negative 11, that's your x value. So again, that's going to end up right here and right here. And then your negative 71, that's your y value. So it's going to go right there. And of course, when we plug in, it's going to be right here. So we get negative 71 is equal to 121a minus 11b plus c. So this leads to our system of equations. So equation number 1 is 64a minus 8b plus c equals negative 8. Equation number 2 is 16a minus 4b plus c is equal to negative 120. Equation number 3 is 121a minus 11b plus c is equal to negative 71. Okay, so same strategy. We're going to eliminate c. So we're going to multiply equation number 2 by negative 1. And then we can add equations number 1 and number 2, and then number 2 and number 3. So if we modify our equation number 2, we're going to end up with negative 16a plus 4b minus c is equal to 120. And then we can add equations number 1 and number 2. So going through 64a minus 16a, that gives me 48a. Negative 8b plus 4b, that's going to be negative 4b. And then your plus c and minus c, that's going to cancel. And then on the right side of the equal sign, you have negative 8 plus 120. That is 112. Now I'm going to divide everything here by 4. Again, so it's a little bit easier to work with. So this is my equation 4. 48 divided by 4 is 12. So this is 12a. And then minus 4 over 4 is 1, so this is b. And this equals 112 divided by 4. That's going to be 28. So that's your equation number 4. Now we're going to get equation number 5. So we're going to add equations number 2 and number 3. So negative 16a plus 121a, that's going to give me 105a. Then 4b minus 11b, that's negative 7b. Then negative c plus c, that's going to cancel. And then on the right side of the equal sign, 120 minus 71, that's going to be 49. So again, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this. Let's divide everything by 7. And let's see where that puts us. Let me move this a little bit further down. 105 divided by 7, that's going to be 15. So this would be 15a. And then minus 7 over 7 is 1. So this is b. And this equals 49 over 7 is 7. So that's our equation number 5. So now that we have our equations number 4 and number 5, let me just modify this equation number 4. I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. So this would be negative 12a. Let me fix that. And this would be plus b is equal to negative 28. Again, let me fix this one more time. So this would be 15a. Let me put a plus right there. Then minus b equals 7. So we're just going to add these guys together, and that will eliminate b for us. So negative 12a plus 15a, that is 3a. Let me fix that. This would cancel, so you have plus b minus b, that's gone. This equals negative 28 plus 7. That's going to be negative 21. And we can divide both sides of the equation by 3. And so this right here would cancel. Let me fix this 3 right here. And so what we're going to end up with is a is equal to negative 21 over 3. That's negative 7. So that's going to be our a value. And then again, we can plug in for a in either equation number 4 or equation number 5. So a is equal to negative 7. So that means this value right here gets plugged in right there. And so that ends up being right there. 12 times negative 7 is negative 84. So let's write negative b minus 84 is equal to 28. And let's add 84 to both sides of the equation. This would cancel. We have negative b. Let me again write negative 1b is equal to. So this would be 28 plus 84, that's 112. And to finish things up, let's divide both sides of the equation by negative 1. So this cancels, and we end up with b is equal to 112 divided by negative 1 is negative 112. So this right here is our b value. And again, we already know that a is negative 7. So now we can pick either equation number 1, equation number 2, or equation number 3, whichever one you want to work with, and we can plug in for a and b and figure out what c is. So we know that a is -7, so that gets plugged in right there in the model, and it ends up right there. And then let me switch colors here. We know that b is -112, so again, that's going to be right there, so it ends up right here. All right, so going through and simplifying, 16 times -7 is -112, and then -4 times -112, that's 448. So let me go plus 448, and then plus c is equal to -120. So -112 plus 448, that's going to be 336. So let me write c plus 336 is equal to -120, and let's subtract 336 away from each side of the equation. So this would cancel, and we're going to end up with c is equal to -120 minus 336, that's -456. So this is your c value here. All right, let me grab this and paste this in so it's nice and neat for us, just so we can write our answer. So y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And again, we know the a value is -7, so y equals -7 x squared. We know the b value is -112. So minus 112 and then x. And then we know the c value is -456, so minus 456. So y equals -7x squared minus 112x minus 456. Again, going to Desmos, here's your y equals -7x squared minus 112x minus 456. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this is your -8 comma -8, and then coming down, this is your -11 comma -71, and then coming down here, we have -4 comma -120. All right, so once again, you can always plug in to check that way. So if we plug into the first equation, we have -8 equals -8. With the second equation, we get -120 equals -120. And then with the third equation, we get -71 equals -71. All right, let's take a look at problem number 8. So we're given our model of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And the first point is 10 comma 25. So 10 being the x value. Again, going there and there. So that ends up right there and right there. And then 25 being the y value. That's going to be right there. And of course, that gets plugged in right there. So when you go through and simplify, you get 25 equals 100a plus 10b plus c. All right, the second point, we have 5 comma 50. So I'm going to start with this y value of 50 since I have that color. So this is y right here. So this is going to be plugged in right there. And then let me switch over. The x value is 5. So again, that's going to be right here and right here. So we're going to plug in right there and right there. So we end up with 50 equals 25a plus 5b plus c. All right, the third point we're given is 11 comma 50. So this is your x value that's going here and here. So again, when you plug in, it's going to be here and here. And then the y value is 50. So that's going to be plugged in right there. So again, this is going to end up right there. So we get 50 equals 121a plus 11b plus c. All right, so we come down here and we have our system of equations. So equation number 1 is 100a plus 10b plus c equals 25. Equation number 2 is 25a plus 5b plus c equals 50. And then equation number 3 is 121a plus 11b plus c is equal to 50. So once again, we're going to eliminate c. We're going to multiply equation number 2 by -1. And so when we do that, our modified form of equation number 2 becomes -25a minus 5b minus c is equal to -50. So now we're going to add equations number 1 and number 2. So 100a minus 25a is 75a. 10b minus 5b is 5b. You have your plus c and then minus c, so that's going to cancel. On the right side of the equal sign, you have 25 minus 50, that's -25. Again, I would work with smaller numbers here, so just divide everything by 5, just to make things a little bit easier. So 75 divided by 5, that's going to be 15. So let's say this is our equation 4, this is 15a, and then plus 5 over 5 is 1, so this is b, and this equals -25 over 5, that's -5. So that's going to be our equation 4. And to get equation 5, we're going to do -25a plus 121a. That's going to be 96a. Then -5b plus 11b. That's going to be 6b. And then -c plus c. Again, this is going to cancel. On the right side of the equal sign, you have -50 plus 50, which is 0. Again, you could divide everything here by 6 to make this easier to work with. So this would be your equation number 5. 96 divided by 6 is 16. So this is 16a. And then plus 6 over 6 is 1, so this is b. And this equals 0 over 6 is 0. All right, so now we have our equations number 4 and number 5. And again, I'm just going to take this and multiply both sides by -1. This would be -15a, and then minus b. and this equals 5. So just multiplied everything here by -1. And then for equation 5, we can just copy it. So 16a, let me put a plus there. And then plus b is equal to 0. So let's add these equations. So -15a plus 16a, that's going to be a. You can put 1a if you want, but I'm just going to put a. And then -b plus b, that's going to be 0. So that's going to cancel away. And then we're going to say this is equal to 5 plus 0 is 5. So we just get a is equal to 5 here. And basically we need to find b now. And we're just going to plug in for a in equation. Again, you can use 4 or 5. I'm just going to use equation number 4. So a is 5, so that gets plugged in right there. So that it ends up right there. 15 times 5 is going to be 75. And then plus b, so this equals -5 here. And so what we'll do is just subtract 75 away from each side of the equation. This cancels. We'll have b is equal to -5 minus 75. That is -80. So b here is equal to -80. All right, now that we know that a is 5 and b is -80, again, you're going to plug into either equation 1, 2, or 3, and you're going to figure out what c is. So since a is 5, again, that gets plugged in right there, so that it ends up right there. And b is -80, so that goes right there, and then ends up right there. Let's go through and simplify and see what we get. So 100 times 5 is 500. Then you have 10 times -80, that's going to be -800. And then you have plus c is equal to 25. So 500 minus 800 is -300. So let's write c minus 300 is equal to 25. And then let's add 300 to both sides of the equation. Let me fix this 3 here. And let's cancel this away. And let's say that c is equal to 25 plus 300 is 325. So that's going to be our c value. Just so we have a clean copy of things, let me just paste that there. And I'm going to write the model. So y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we know that a is 5, so let's write y equals 5x squared. We know that b is -80, so let's write -80 and then times x. And then plus, your c value is 325. So let's write that in there. So we get y equals 5x squared minus 80x plus 325. So again, coming to Desmos, here's the y equals 5x squared minus 80x plus 325. So just going through and looking at the points. So here is your 5, 50. Here is your, let me zoom in a little bit more, your 11, 50. And then here is your 10, 25. Again, if you want to check by plugging in, with the first equation, you get 25 equals 25. With the second equation, you get 50 equals 50. And with the third equation, you also get 50 equals 50. All right, for problem number 9, we are going to change things up and look at a different model. So most of the problems in this section are going to be y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. But occasionally you're going to get a sideways parabola. So that looks like this. This is x equals a y squared plus by plus c. So be very, very careful when you get this type of problem because it's easy to plug the wrong numbers in and get the wrong answer just because we're so used to the y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So the point we're given is 5, -12. So this 5 is the x value. Again, now that goes over here. So that's going to end up right there. So pay close attention to what's going on there. The y value is -12. So now that's going to be right here and right here. That's going to be right here and right here. So what you end up with is 5 equals 144a minus 12b plus c. All right, the next point we're given is 5, -8. So again, 5 is the x value. So that's going to be over here now. So that's where 5 goes. Then -8 is the y value. So again, that's here now and also here. So that it ends up right there and then right there. So we get 5 equals 64a minus 8b plus c. Then the final point we're given is 2, -11. Once again, this is your x value. That's 2. That's going to go right here. And that's going to end up right there. The y value is -11. So again, that's going to go right here and then right here. So that it ends up getting plugged in there and then there. So we end up with 2 equals 121a minus 11b plus c. All right, for the system of equations, for equation number 1, we have 144a minus 12b plus c equals 5. For equation number 2, we get 64a minus 8b plus c equals 5. And for equation number 3, you're going to get 121a minus 11b plus c is equal to 2. All right, even though we have a sideways parabola, we're going to use the same strategy. We're just going to, when we get a, b, and c, plug into a different model. So that's all that's going to change. So we're going to eliminate c, again, by multiplying equation number 2 by -1. So when we look at this modified form of equation number 2, we get -64a plus 8b minus c is equal to -5. Then we're just going to add equations number 1 and number 2. So 144a minus 64a, that's going to be 80a. And then we have -12b plus 8b, that's going to be negative 4b. You have your plus c and minus c, so that's going to cancel. And then over here on the right side of the equal sign, 5 minus 5 is 0. So you have 80a minus 4b equals 0. Again, go ahead and divide everything by 4 here, just to make the numbers easier to work with. So my equation number 4, 80 divided by 4 is going to be 20. So this would be 20a. And then minus 4 over 4 is 1, so this is b. And this equals 0 over 4 is 0. All right, now we're going to add equations number 2 and number 3. So negative 64a plus 121a, that's going to be 57a. Then 8b minus 11b, that's going to be negative 3b. And then negative c plus c, that's going to cancel. So then on the right side of the equal sign, we have negative 5 plus 2, that's going to be negative 3. So for equation number 5, let me divide everything here by 3. And so 57 divided by 3, that's going to be 19. Let me move this down a little bit more so I have some room. So this would be 19a, and then minus 3 over 3 is 1, so this is b, and this equals negative 3 over 3, that's negative 1. Let me make this a little bit better. So equation number 5 would be 19a minus b equals negative 1. So now we have our equations number 4 and number 5. I'm going to take equation number 4 and just multiply by negative 1. This would be negative 20a. This would be plus b. And this equals, multiplying 0 by negative 1 is still going to give me 0. So again, just changing the sign of everything. And of course, 0 times negative 1 is still 0. So this one you can just copy. So 19a, let me put a plus sign there, minus b is equal to negative 1. We're going to add these two guys together. So negative 20a plus 19a, that's going to be negative a. And then you have your plus b minus b, that's going to cancel. And this equals 0 plus negative 1 would be negative 1. So this one you can just divide both sides by negative 1 or multiply both sides by negative 1, whatever you want to do. Let me just divide both sides by negative 1. So this would cancel. And you're going to end up with a is equal to negative 1 over negative 1 is 1. So a is equal to 1 here. Now, if we go down, again, we're going to plug in for a in either equation number 4 or 5. It does not matter. We know that a is going to be 1. So that just goes right there, and it ends up right there. So 20 times 1 is just 20. And then minus b, this equals 0. The quicker thing to do here is just to add b to both sides of the equation. So this will cancel, and you're going to end up with 20 is equal to b, or you could just flip it around and say b is equal to 20. All right, we know that a is 1 and b is 20, so we're going to plug in to either equation 1, 2, or 3. We're just going to happen to pick equation number 2, and then we're going to solve for c. So this, again, a is 1, so we're going to plug that in there, and then right there. And then b is 20, so that goes right there, and then it ends up right there. So 64 times 1 is 64. And then minus 8 times 20 is 160. And then plus c is equal to 5. All right, so 64 minus 160, that's going to be negative 96. So let's write c minus 96 is equal to 5. Let's add 96 to both sides of the equation. This cancels. You're going to end up with c is equal to 5 plus 96, that's going to be 101. So that's your value for c. Let me paste this in here again so we have something clean to work with. You want to write your model. Again, when you get these sideways parabolas, it's easy to make a mistake. So you want to write x equals ay squared plus by plus c. Make sure to write your model so you don't go back to the y equals ax squared plus bx plus c that we usually work with. So we're going to keep the x out here. And this equals, for a, it's 1. So don't put anything. You just put your y squared. And then plus, for b, it's 20. So that's 20y. And then plus for c, that's 101. Okay, so if you look at this on Desmos, this is your x equals y squared plus 20y plus 101. Let me zoom in a little bit. So you have your 2 comma negative 11, your 5 comma negative 8. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see that. And then your 5 comma negative 12. So plugging in, again, if you want to check it this way, for equation number 1, you get 5 equals 5. For equation number 2, you also get 5 equals 5. And then for equation number 3, you get 2 equals 2. All right, let's take a look at problem number 10 now. So we are given the model, which is x equals ay squared plus by plus c. So again, we have a sideways parabola. Be very, very careful when you get this type of problem. It's easy to make a mistake and go back to the y equals ax squared plus bx plus c that we normally get for these types of problems. So the point that's given here is 23 comma 3. So 23 is the x value. Again, x is over here now. So this is where you're putting 23. And then the y value is 3. So y is here now and also here. So that means we're going to put that right there and then also right there. And when we simplify, we get 23 equals 9a plus 3b plus c. And then our other point is going to be 43 comma 8. So the x value is 43. So again, that's going to be over here now. So that means we're going to have it right there. Then the y value is 8. So that means we have that right there and right there. So we're going to plug in there and then there. So that gives us 43 equals 64a plus 8b plus c. The final point we're given is 23, 7. So we have 23 for the x value. Again, that's going right here. So we end up plugging that in right there. And then we have 7 for the y value. So that's right here and then right here. So we're going to plug that in here and then also here. So we end up with 23 equals 49a plus 7b plus c. All right, so our system of equations, we end up with equation number 1, 9a plus 3b plus c is equal to 23. Equation number 2, 64a plus 8b plus c is equal to 43. And then equation number 3, we have 49a plus 7b plus c is equal to 23. All right, once again, we're going to eliminate c. And to do that, we're going to multiply equation number 2 by -1. So our modified form of equation number 2 is -64a minus 8b minus c is equal to -43. Now we're going to add equations number 1 and number 2. So if we do that, 9a minus 64a, that's -55a. 3b minus 8b, that's -5b. You have your plus c and then minus c, that's going to cancel. And then on the right side of the equal sign, you have 23 and then minus 43, that's going to be -20. Let me go ahead and divide everything here by 5. Let me slide down a little bit. So this would be for equation number 4. -55 divided by 5 is -11. So this is -11a. Then minus 5 over 5 is 1. So this is b. And this equals -20 over 5. That's -4. All right, now we're going to add equations number 2 and number 3. So -64a plus 49a, that's going to be -15a. Then -8b plus 7b, that's going to be -b. Then minus c plus c, that's going to cancel. And on the right side of the equal sign, you have -43 plus 23, that's going to be -20. So this one right here, you really can't do anything more with it. So I'm just going to say this is equation number 5. All right, so now we have our equations number 4 and number 5. So I'm going to just drag this down here and say I'm going to multiply equation number 4 by -1. So this would be 11a and then plus b, and this equals, right here, this would be 4. This one would be -15a minus b is equal to -20. So I multiplied everything in equation number 4 by -1. That's how I got this. And then equation number 5, I didn't do anything to that. So now we're going to add these two equations together. And so 11a minus 15a, that would be -4a. You have b minus b, that's going to cancel. And this equals, over here you have 4 minus 20, that's going to be -16. Go ahead and divide both sides of the equation by -4. This would cancel. And you're going to end up with a is equal to -16 over -4 is +4. So a is equal to 4. So now we're going to plug in for a in equation number 4. Again, if you want to use equation number 5, that's fine as well. So this 4 right here gets plugged in right there, and that ends up right there. So -11 times 4 is -44. Then minus b is equal to -4. All right, what I'm going to do to make this a little bit faster, I'm going to add b to both sides of the equation, and I'm going to add 4 to both sides of the equation. So we're going to say this would cancel right here. Let's cancel this away right here. I'm going to put -44 plus 4, that's going to be -40, is equal to b. And of course, you can just flip that around and say that b is equal to -40. So at this point, we know that a is equal to 4 and b is equal to -40. So you can pick either equation number 1, 2, or 3 and just plug in for a and b and solve for c. So we know that a is 4. So again, that's a right there, so it's going to get plugged in right there. So we know that b is -40, so there's your b right there, so it's going to get plugged in right there. So let's solve for c. So 9 times 4 is 36. And then 3 times -40 is -120, so minus 120. Then plus c is equal to 23. So 36 minus 120, that's -84. So this becomes c minus 84 is equal to 23. Let me fix that. So let's add 84 to both sides of the equation. This cancels. We get c is equal to 23 plus 84, that is 107. So that's your value for c. All right, let me paste that in there so we have something clean to work with. And let me write our model, which is x equals ay squared plus by plus c. Again, always keep this model in mind. Very easy to make a mistake when you have a sideways parabola and you're thinking in the default terms of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We're going to plug in for a here, which is 4. So this is x equals 4y squared. We're going to plug in for b, so that's -40. So we're going to put minus 40y. Then we're going to plug in for c, which is 107. So plus 107. So we get x equals 4y squared minus 40y plus 107. So here is our x equals 4y squared minus 40y plus 107. We go through and look at our points. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this one is 23, 7. This one is 23, 3. And this one over here, let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see it. That's going to be your 43, 8. All right, so once again, checking this by plugging in, for the first equation, you get 23 equals 23. For the second equation, you get 43 equals 43. And then for the third equation, you get 23 equals 23.